It is very difficult to make people understand each other who don't need each other. I've actually rarely seen it being the case that someone is so intrinsically motivated to understand the other side that they sit with the frustration of it, because in the beginning it is frustrating, it's always frustrating. They sit with, they ask questions, they ponder different perspectives, possibilities of why the other person is doing what they're doing, why they're experiencing the way things they are. This is rarely happening. If, on the other hand, people need each other, I think this is much more easy. It comes naturally to find moments in which you figure out something about the other person, but already feel united. You don't feel united around having the same ideas or having the same perspective, but you feel united around doing the same practice or depending on each other in a specific challenge. And this can be simple stuff. This can be stuff from building a home together, to fixing things together, to reading a book together. When you're reading a book with somebody else, you are already unified in the experience that, hey, you have to figure out what the text is meaning. You need the other person and you need the perspectives of the other to actually bring it all together, particularly if it's more challenging stuff. And this already creates an incentive for people to actually want to truly understand each other. Generally speaking, though, culture does the opposite. Modern day culture basically makes you independent from other people. You don't need other people anymore. As long as you have a steady income, you can basically pay people to do things that you can't do yourself, and that's it. They don't have to really be part of your life world. It is a different form of relation to those people than when you're literally dependent on them. I can clearly remember, since Bulgaria has a culture of poverty, if you want, which hasn't changed much, but it has changed in the past decade. I can clearly remember back in the day when people just didn't have the means, because you couldn't even pay your electricity bills with an average income here in Bulgaria. The people were much more dependent on each other. On the one hand, people were much more capable of fixing stuff themselves because they had no choice. And on the other hand, they were constantly dependent on friends or relatives to help them figure things out. And everything from fixing things to figuring out how society works, because there's nobody to ask. This is something that Westerners often don't understand. What When you go into Bulgarian institutions, there's just no place where you could get information about how the thing works. There is no information if you want hotspot. I mean, you start asking random people, and the first answer you usually get is, "This is not an information spot here, right? Like, leave me alone." So people are reluctant to give you any kind of information. So even to figure out how things are working in institutions, in Bulgaria, you have to revert to family, friends, and people who have actually gone through the experience. And this is totally different from the kind of transactional relationship that is so typical in Western societies, where as long as you have your steady income, you can basically you can pay a specialist to do whatever is necessary and whatever you need, and you don't have to create any kind of personal and interaction with that person. That person does their job and they leave, and that's it. And this is very different. This is very different from, if you think, tribal structures where people need each other, where there's constantly different occasions in which people are mutually dependent and already unified before having to agree on issues. Actually, agreeing on issues is not that important anymore, because what brings people together is scarcity and necessity, and not having to agree on a specific take, right? And this changes, I think, the way we are interacting with people. And this also changes the incentive structure to understand the other. I mean, again, if you don't need the other, why would you want to understand them? What's the point, right? Why would you engage with that? If you, on the other hand, are a group of musicians and you come from different cultural backgrounds, you have a challenge there. And whether you like it or not, you have to bring those different styles together. And they will have different approaches to music. And you will have to stop. You will have to ask questions. You will have to experiment. You will have to adapt yourself. You will have to change your own way of playing music if you want to make this thing to work. And yet, nowadays, you can have multiple cultures. You can have all the kinds of very different forms of interpretations and self drafts of people and self interpretations of people. And none of that needs to concern you, because at the end of the day, you can live your life and other people just live their lives, and that's it. You don't have to mingle, you don't have to confront each other, right? And just going to a Chinese restaurant, this is not a form of cultural exchange. It's not a form of confrontation with alterity of really radically different people or and different ways of thinking about reality. This is a form of tourism, if you want. I mean, as a tourist, I'm sorry, you won't learn about the culture, right? You just will see a few hotspots and we'll have interesting and nice memories. But the point of tourism is not to learn another culture. And we're basically that. We're basically consuming tourists. This is the way we live. We're constantly tourists who are never really forced to engage with any other culture and really understand it.